I forgot to hit the button.
I am just a man in recovery doing my very best to share a positive message of love and hope to anyone out there struggling. My name's Danny Shannon. I spent 17 years in the pain, hurt and misery of active addiction, heroin, meth, crack, anything you could get your hands on. I am absolutely blessed to have found recovery on the 15th of September 2009. This is the Kick the Shit podcast. Each week, my guests and I will share our stories around the social and emotional impacts that addiction can have on both ourselves and our loved ones. Let's go!
Welcome, S. Riot. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm good. A bit nervous.
Guys, everyone, we have Shannon, also known as S. Riot, on Facebook, celebrating 365 days recovery. Thank you, everyone who's joined us. I'd like to, before we kick it off, I'd like to just put up on screen that the Kick the Shit podcast is very proudly and luckily sponsored by Koahani. Koahani are helping you help yourself, and they provide NDIS support and coordination. Thank you so much, Koahani. So you're feeling a bit nervous, Shannon?
I am. And now I think I should move that light bulb closer to the screen.
Not necessary. We're good. All right, guys, anyone who's dropping comments and questions, please feel free to. At the end of the show, we'll go through them. Shannon, how do you feel celebrating 1 year recovery? How's it feel?
I don't know. It still feels a bit surreal. It's been a wild 1 year. Lots of stuff's happened, lots of good, lots of bad. And I'm just glad to be here, really.
Yeah. Have you ever had a 12 months recovery before?
No, I haven't.
Yeah.
So, I've been to detox before, but I never did recovery after it. So I had no idea about it, to be honest.
I came to celebrate with you on Thursday evening at a 12-step fellowship meeting, and it was so good to see. What I love is when people watch you for the beginning of your journey. I've been lucky enough to know you now for around about probably 6 or 7 months, but some of those people that had seen you transform right from the beginning. Before we dive into your early days of recovery, would you mind taking us back? Tell us a little bit about your story, maybe some of your growing up, what it was like, and also when you picked up drugs for the first time.
Yeah, so I grew up in a small coastal town, Shellharbour, on the south coast of New South Wales. I lived with my mum and my dad and my sister. I had a lot of other family around me, but, I felt from a really young age that, I wasn't accepted for who I was. I didn't have a voice. I do come from a good home, and it contradicts everything, but I just, my parents were brought up how they were brought up, and that's all they knew. And I accept that now, that things were for them how they were for me. And I had a good time till I was about 12 years old. I was super close with my nan, and she passed away tragically. To me, it was a tragedy. The night before, we moved her into a nursing home, and that night she had a massive heart attack and died, and it was from anxiety or something. And that destroyed me. And my mum and dad wouldn't let me go and say goodbye to her in the hospital. And I feel like ever since then, I've been struggling with a lot of abandonment issues. And I got diagnosed with OCD at 12. I started my first antidepressant at 12, and I feel like I've just been numb ever since I was 12. So, I ended up picking up my first drug around 14, 15. And after that, I guess I was just looking for ways to constantly numb myself so I didn't have to go through the grief.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing. That was so, at 12 is kind of where you started to identify something going on for you that you didn't feel right.
Yeah, well, I knew before that, I was, I feel like most of the time I lived in chaos. There was so much going on all the time. My parents worked a lot. They worked a lot, and I spent a lot of time with my nan. And now I look back and I can see, I can see things for what they were like. And I just Sorry, I'm having a mind blank. What was the question? What were you saying?
Yeah,
Sorry.
no, that's okay. Just about you identifying at 12
Yes,
that you had some
that's
stuff
right.
going on.
So I feel like I was the child who, had something wrong with them. Like I was constantly being watched every time I walked into a room. I was, and this is just like throughout everything, like my parents, friends, whatever. But like, um, yeah, I remember picking, my parents drank. They don't have an issue with it or anything, but they used to keep their alcohol in the garage, and we had family Christmas at ours one year, and I think I was about 7 or something, and I was filling up all my cousins' cups with goon and red Fanta,
Yeah.
and yeah, my cousin ended up. I guess she was drunk and she fell down the stairs to her mum's feet, and I didn't have a very good relationship with her mum, which her dad was my mum's brother, and I don't know, I just didn't have a I don't know, I just felt different. I felt different,
Sure.
and yeah,
One thing you mentioned at the beginning, I just want to go back to it, is you said that you grew up in I think you said a pretty normal and loving household too, um, and like it doesn't matter how good, does it? Like, because I completely relate to that. Like, I had this beautiful,
yeah,
loving mum who taught me all my values and morals. I did have a father who's nicknamed Shonky, who taught me everything I should know, but there was no real like massive problems in my house. But the minute I picked up drugs at a similar age to you, I just became like a different person, and maybe I thought I'd found myself. So I completely
yeah,
identify with that. All right. So, and at the age of 7, you're filling up families and cousins drinks, and that I guess brought some kind of, and you were watching them get drunk, it probably made you curious to
yeah.
what
Like
it was
it was
like.
normal to me, and I remember like, my nan smoked cigarettes, and we spent a lot of time with her, and I thought, oh yeah, this must be cool. So um I'd smoke my nan's cigarettes, and she'd obviously smell it and come out of the through. I remember getting busted. Apparently, I threw the butt in the bin and lit it on fire when I was 7, and I remember I got smacked
Oh
and
my
grounded for
god,
2 weeks.
you're smoking cigarettes at 7.
Well, yeah, I was trying them. I mean, I probably wasn't smoking properly, but I
That's
did
good
it.
laugh, yeah. Yeah, yeah, crazy. Yeah, I don't think I was that young when I picked up a cigarette. All right, cool. Wow. Well, you know what? When I talk about, when I get deep into my story, I actually identified that my first cigarette was the beginning. It is, isn't it? It's the first drug we kind
Yeah,
of put in our body, nicotine. That's where it all started for me. Sneaking down the back of these big hills, and me and my mate Ricky had a cigarette. And it's kind of, I must have been maybe 10 or 11 then too. So yeah, that's interesting. All right, Shannon, what was when did you first pick up? Like, talk me. Do you remember the the first day you got on it, and what was it?
um
Pick up.
well, I feel like it was just smoking joints and stuff before school, but really the first time I really picked up, I think I was around 18. It was time to go out and
Yeah.
clubbing and whatnot, and I picked up ecstasy for the first time, and um yeah, I just I wasn't really a drinker because I saw how it affected people, and I didn't like that. So I found something else to make myself feel good. So yeah, I used ecstasy every weekend until about, I reckon, I don't know. I picked up other things along the way. I've had speed, and I remember the first time I had speed, it was laced with meth, and yeah, it was hectic. But I liked that. I liked feeling. I liked not feeling, so I just kept doing it.
So the first hard, not to say marijuana isn't a hard drug, because I mean the effects from marijuana, I reckon, often are worse than any other drug, like especially long term. But so your first, what you're saying is your first hard drug you identify was ecstasy. Um,
Yeah, I reckon.
yeah.
Yeah.
So all right, so when, like, I remember the first time I picked up my drug of choice being heroin. It was like I thought I'd found something, and I stuck. I didn't miss a day for the next 17 years. How was that first day for you picking up that drug? Like, did you notice any changes in behavior? Did you, yeah, was there any like big moment for you when you had it that you remember?
I don't know. I just remember I felt like I fit in. So
Yeah, yeah. I guess that's kind of what I was wondering, if it made you
yeah,
feel normal. Often I
Yeah,
hear,
like I was normal because I felt different my whole life. And every time I was on a drug, it just felt normal to me. Like I was like, yeah, people like me,
yeah, cool.
which is sad. It's sad that, that has to happen.
Well, did you have like? All right, let's talk about that then. So you feel like people liked you. What about before that? Did you have friends? Like, how was your networks growing
Yeah,
up?
so I grew up, in primary school, I was school captain and everything changed when I went to high school. There was more kids and kids are fucking horrible. They're nasty people. And I get that. Like kids, yeah. I've got one myself, and I don't know, she's beautiful. And, I've been doing a lot of research since I've been in recovery, and they reckon kids are narcissists because they don't know any different. It's all about them kind of thing. And yeah, I don't know. Like, yeah, my sister so everything went downhill from when I was 12. My nan died. I was diagnosed with OCD. I was put in antidepressants. And then when I was four, I got picked on at school. Like I had a lot of bullies and stuff like that. And my sister left and went to uni when I was 14, and I don't even know if we were ever close, but we don't have a close relationship. Like I can't call her up and have a chat with her or anything like that. And I feel like I just felt alone a lot of my life, especially since 12. And it's probably weird that I don't know if it's weird, but like I always kind of spend a lot of time with adults and not children because I don't know. I was just looking for the nurture, really.
Mm. Yeah, and you talked about like when your nan passed on, that you really felt like that's kind of where you obviously had a really good connection with her.
Yeah.
Yeah, and your sister. So is that the only sibling you've got? Just your sister? Who
Yeah,
else?
it's my sister. But,
Yeah.
I've got a cousin who you met on Thursday night. And,
Oh yeah, Chris.
yeah,
Yes, I
like
remember him.
Chris,
Yes.
yeah. Well, to me, like, I never had a brother growing up, and he was the closest thing to that.
Yeah.
Um,
Right.
I spend a lot of time with him in and out of recovery. And, my daughter's got really good relationships with his kids. And, if that's all I can have, then I'm grateful for that. Like I'll always be grateful for that. I've got nephews and nieces who I don't see. I don't know, me and my sister are just completely different people. We walk different paths of life. She doesn't probably agree with the things I've been through or done or whatever. And yeah, we're just chalk and cheese, and we don't have a relation. I wouldn't say we have a relationship. We probably won't have one after talking about it on here either. But I just, yeah.
Look, Shannon, maybe like if she does watch, maybe this is a great opportunity for you. Look, and let me just acknowledge too, my relationship, with my sister is exactly the same. I've never really had a relationship. Can I ask you something? Have you ever told your sister that you love her? Do you say I love you when you speak? Do you
I don't
do that?
know. Like I haven't spoke to her in a while, to be honest.
Yeah, but
I don't
have
know.
you ever?
I think I feel really weird about doing that because I don't know. It's never been. I don't feel. Not that I can remember anyway. Like,
Yeah, yeah. I just
yeah,
asked her because I remember the day I told my sister I love her in recovery, and I learned that just in recovery because it never happened previous to that. It just brought that memory up for me. Okay, may I ask also? Sorry, this is a bit personal. What about mum and dad? Do you guys say I love you?
yeah, we do. But I don't know. I feel like I've stepped back a bit because I've really, I've been doing a lot of research about um like childhood trauma and all that kind of stuff. And I come from a good home. Like I have to say that on here because my parents will probably be upset that I'm talking about them. But I love my mum. Everyone loves my mum. She works at a local bowling club. Everyone, um I tell them she's my mom, and they're like, she's so caring, she's so nice. And my dad, he's a local coach down at the local surf club, and he's really respected. And they're great people, but I just feel like, because they were brought up obviously a certain way, that's all they knew, and that's how we were brought up. But I need, and I'm at the point now where it's my turn to break the cycle.
Yes, yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's a
So
big
true.
thing for me. That's, yeah.
Well, that's exactly why I'm kind of asking too, because that's what I did too. Like, and recovery taught me that. Like, I told my sister I love her, and I also told my dad, who had never said anything even remotely close to that. So I love that you just said you want to break the cycle too, because that's what recovery offers, doesn't it? It offers us
Yeah,
this opportunity to change our life and definitely affect those around us, and you're doing that, Shannon. It was
yeah.
beautiful to hear from Chris the other night to talk about, yeah, seeing you grow and stuff too. So that's beautiful. All right, cool. So what about? Oh, actually, what I wonder what our listeners. I wonder how many people say "I love you" to their mum and dad, and vice versa. And are you telling your children that you love them, and then are they telling you they love? Because I look, I think it plays a massive role. And I know back you talked about, Shannon, that it was kind of that it's what they grew up with. Oh, what was the word you said? Just that well, anyway, we're changing that, and these days, I think using that language is way more common. Like my dad's excuse and everybody's excuse when I said this story on social media about my dad is that's the way he was brought up, so that's why he
Yeah,
never said I love you. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's good to talk
it's
about it.
really, yeah, like I remember being young, and I remember getting into trouble and my mum would be like, I'd be sent to my room to deal with my own emotions, and I didn't know about all this until recently. Like, I'd be sent to the room to deal with my own emotions. I was I even had my mum tell me I don't love you anymore sometimes. And so I feel like me telling them that I love them, it's conditional. I haven't learnt that it's unconditional. Whereas with my daughter, if she does something that's, a bit naughty or whatever, I always tell her that I love her. Like, she never goes to bed at night alone. Like, and I have to do that. And I do love her. Like, I love her so much. She's the best thing that's ever happened to me. But if like I'm not going to use that's how I was brought up way. Like, I need to, I have to break this cycle. This is the most important thing to me.
Yeah, I look at this. I think it's great, and I think that again, I think that's what recovery provides us with. All right, so take us to what day? How did detox look for you this time? How did you get clean, Shannon? It's been
So,
300.
Sorry.
Yes, yeah, so it's been 367 days since you entered recovery, day one. Take us back to there. What was it like?
So I was still inactive when I come into recovery. And I was in a relationship. It was really emotionally abusive. I was put down a lot, and that ended, and I started using back in that relationship just to like numb out, I guess, the shit that was going on. And I ended up, telling my parents, I'm using again, and they obviously weren't happy about that. And I'm like, I need to go to detox, and they wouldn't let me go because, my daughter, they were like, what about Ivy and all this stuff? And I'm like, but what about me? Like, if I'm not, clean and, present, like, I can't be there for her. And it took about 2 months or maybe a month and a half until they agreed that I could go. And it shouldn't have taken that long, but anyway, it did. And I went back to detox. When I do detox, I go to a mental hospital because I struggle with mental health issues. And I just went back in there. It was a 3-week program and I stayed for 2 weeks. I went to the same place in 2016 to detox, and it was so different back then. It was a different program. They were closed groups. And it was really different this time. And because I had Ivy to think of, like, I only stayed in there for 2 weeks. And but I kept doing meeting. I'm a member of Narcotics Anonymous, and that's a big part of my recovery. And I was doing meetings, but the staff were getting upset that I was coming back late and stuff, and I wasn't allowed to do that. And I thought, well, this isn't helping me. And I kind of made the decision, and I went home early, and I just kept doing meetings, and that's the big part of my recovery. So
Hey,
yeah.
interesting. So the hospital that you went to didn't encourage 12-step fellowship stuff then? Is that what you're
No.
saying?
Well, sorry, there is meetings there through the week. But the first time I went in there, I was like, I'm not going to that. I don't have a problem, like kind of thing. So I never went. And it wasn't until my cousin introduced me into recovery where this time I was doing meetings.
Yeah, cool. Well, look, I often think that like there's things that you have to do in rehab and detox, like things that they recommend you do and all that. That stuff's great, but it's the stuff you do on top of that. That's the shit that you stay clean. Like if you just go into detox or into rehab and just do exactly the bare minimum just to get through and what they tell you to do, maybe you'll stay clean. But I feel like the people that sort of go out of their way and start copying what other people are doing and adding extra things to their program, they're the ones that stay clean, you know. So sounds like that's how you kick off your journey.
Yeah, that's a big part of my journey. It is. Yeah. I, I've had service positions and whatnot, and I've, been through a lot through my recovery. I even ended up doing a bit of a geographical, and I went up to Sydney and I started doing meetings up there because, I just needed a change of scenery for a while.
Yeah, cool. So yeah, you're talking about, just for anyone listening, a lot of people that do listen aren't aware of the 12-step fellowship stuff. That's for sure too. So yeah, when you're saying meetings, like, so you did a geographical. What do you mean by that, Shannon? Can you explain what you mean by geographical?
So, because I'm from the South Coast, I was doing meetings down here, and I needed to get away for a bit. I had some things come up in my life where I needed to take space from, and the geographical means I guess I left my location and went elsewhere.
It's such a rehab term, isn't it? And I just sometimes want to explore that. And you also said earlier, too, just to be clear so people know, you said you're still inactive. You said when you enter recovery, you're still inactive. You meant like active addiction, eh? Like
active addiction. Sorry.
Yeah. No. All good. Shannon, okay, so still we jumped ahead there. So what was it like? How have you got to 12 months clean? How have you done it? Like, so you left detox or rehab or that hospital after 2 weeks. You're 14 days clean?
Yeah, it would have been, yeah.
And then what? How did you do it? Like I know so many people, and for me, for a long time, I was trying to get clean, but I had this obsession and compulsion to get and use more drugs. I would do anything I could, and I was getting like 13 days, 14 days, and I'd relapse. And I'd get 18 days and I'd relapse. Or I get 1 day and I'd relapse. How do you come home with your kid as well? We've got Ivy as well. How do you put all this stuff together and maintain not picking up? And can I just ask, Shannon, when you say clean too, do you drink alcohol?
No, I don't drink alcohol. So alcohol is a drug for me. So, and it's a drug in the NA program too. So, I don't drink either. Okay. I don't take anything actually. I think I do take some medication at nighttime and whatnot, but I think I had my last Valium a year ago, last night. So, yeah.
Wow. Congrats. All right. So how did you do it then? 14 days, you're back home. You've got all this overwhelming responsibility. That's how I feel when I think about a kid in the early days. But you're a mum. You've got to stand up. And I know there's so many mums. In fact, most of my audience are probably young mums and women in recovery or on a journey. So how did you do it, Shannon? Like how did you stay clean?
Well, I wasn't on my own. So my parents, they're really good support. My daughter's really close with them. And, Ivy spent a lot of time with them as well as me. And I don't know, when I came into recovery, they have suggested things and I kind of didn't do every suggested thing, but now I do them. And I don't know, I just, I need to stay clean for myself, but I also need to stay clean for Ivy. And, I've done a lot of research and I've listened a lot in meetings to other people's experiences. And I've just been researching addiction. Like, I didn't know that addiction was about behaviors or anything like that, or obsessions. And, I didn't know all that. So I don't know. I feel like I've just done like, I don't know, to me, it's research really. Like, I'm learning, and because I'm clean, I can be present in the learning. I've done lots of mental health day programs and stuff, and I feel like I've never been present in them. I did a day program through a rehab not long ago, and I was sat in there one day and I was like, this is the first time I've ever been present in a program, like, because my brain's always, I guess, blurry, you know. I've stopped chasing feelings and stuff like that. So I'm feeling everything. And it's been really hard, you know. My two best friends that were in recovery, they relapsed. And the feeling of having, like, I was told that, you know, if one of your friends relapse, you're going to really feel it. And because I'm clean, I felt everything. And, you know, I thought I'd lost them. You know, I still have one that's back out there and the other one's back with me. And I just wanted to be like, I just wanted my story, you know, to be a catalyst for someone else. And, you know, if I can show other people that I can stay clean, you know, then they can see that for themselves, and, you know, they can give it a go too, you know. And when you're ready, you've got to want to do it for yourself, not for anyone else.
For sure. Shannon, so what did you do about, like, in those early days? What was how did your days look like? Like, how did you do it? I mean, all right, so you were out of rehab. I know you've mentioned you're a member of the 12-step fellowships. So were you doing meetings every day?
Yeah, so I feel like I was. I did try to get to a meeting every day. To be honest, I can't remember.
Yeah, cool.
I feel like my brain was like just blacked out for a while.
Yeah.
Everything's a bit foggy for me back then. But yeah, I was doing meetings, and I was just doing what I needed to do, you know, and I had help from my parents, which is a lot, like, which is a lot of, sorry, which is, you know, something not everyone has. If I didn't have them, you know, to help with Ivy, and also I have a good amicable relationship with her father as well, so that helps a lot too, and his family as well. And yeah, I guess everyone kind of shared the load to help me.
You also mentioned doing some. Did you do some outreach programs in the early days? Or not?
Yeah, so I had borderline personality disorder. I was diagnosed with it at 27 when I first went into detox. And if no one knows what that is, it's mental health disorder where you can't regulate your own emotions and you struggle to have healthy relationships because you weren't taught them back in childhood. And that's something that I really struggle with, is learning what a healthy relationship is. And yeah, so I went back to the hospital that I did detox at, and I started doing a dialectical behavioral therapy course. But because I was still in really early days of coming out of detox, my brain wasn't there. And so I stopped going, and I have plans to start that again either in the next couple of months or at the start of next year. And I'll go back and do that because I need therapy.
Yeah, cool. Me too. Now I got involved in lots of that stuff. I was really lucky. The rehab I went through, and like I continued to sort of do like a counselling session for quite a few months. You know, involved in other things also. And I remember the early days were really foggy for me as well, Shannon. I think it's pretty normal. Like, do you know what it is? That fog. It's like, for me, there was just noise going on in my head, just this constant fuzz going on, and it took me 2 years before I even heard that noise. You know, and you talk about being a little bit more grounded now. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like I was still on antidepressants till I was a month ago. And I came off them, and that was horrible too, because I was having night terrors, and I still get them today. And yeah, just the fog and all that. Like I'm glad, that I'm off that. And I'm all for medication. If you need it, take it. But for me, I'm at the part, like the part in my life where I need to be off it. And I still take stuff at nighttime, but I don't take it in the day because that's not where I'm at anymore. And sometimes I still think I need it, but I have to be aware that I need to have other ways to deal with life, I guess.
Yeah, just on that, what I know, I'm certainly doctors here, that's for sure. And anyone who is prescribed meds, I think it's important to follow medical direction. Like I can't stand how people can try and tell you that because of a medication that you're on, like especially around some type of mental health medication that you shouldn't take it. Like I certainly wouldn't be mucking around with that. But on that note too, what you're saying is you've sort of got to a point where I think our brain chemistry, is really messy when it's just unwired. And when I started to maintain a little bit of recovery, things started to level out a little bit. I was
Yeah.
for the first 18 months, I kept going back trying to get on medication, but they wouldn't give me any. The doctor knew me really well because I'd been around, and he said, "No, Danny," he said, "you don't need any medication." But I was that mad that I thought I needed to be medicated, So just
Yeah.
anyone out there on meds, so for you, you noticed the point that you felt like maybe you could start coming off it with medical advice, I'm sure.
Yeah, so I did it over 3 weeks. I was on Prozac, and I'd been on and off antidepressants since I was 12 years old. And yeah, I just felt like it was time.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Hey?
I'm having a bit of a mind blank. You know how you think about what you're going to say and then you forget it? Yeah.
I'm happy to guide you through. Shannon, I want to know what was your rock bottom? What was your rock bottom? When you think back to how long were you in active addiction for?
I reckon I was in on and off active addiction since 2009.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was like a couple of years after I got out of high school. I started getting boyfriends and whatnot. I started looking for validation in which I didn't even know what validation was until about 2016 or something like that. And I didn't until I got diagnosed with, BPD and stuff like that. I didn't know about this. I learned a lot about the stuff that I feel like I was a bit deprived of when I was a child. But yeah, I don't know. My rock bottom was, I think I had one in 2012. I started smoking meth and I was smoking heroin, and I was, hanging out with someone that I shouldn't have been hanging out with. And I fell pregnant, and then I miscarried, and, I hit rock bottom. And yeah. And then I just kept, so my drug of choice is marijuana. And I know no one thinks this is a hard drug. And I have people laugh at me. I've told them, I've been to detox to get off marijuana. And people laugh at me and they're like, oh my God, marijuana, who would go to detox for that? And I'm like, it's fucking heavy. Like, it destroyed me. It took my soul. I didn't know who I was anymore. And yeah. And I know people, I met someone recently who takes it for, medicinal, but it's still addictive. I'm all for it, if it works for you, it works for you, but it doesn't work for me. And yeah, it's as addictive as heroin is. I'm sorry, but it is.
Nah, Shannon, that's what I said at the beginning of the show. Marijuana is putrid, especially and look, I understand the medical stuff, and let's touch on that in a moment. But if you're on it for medicinal reasons, whatever, I guess. But I mean, people look. I can tell when I'm having a chat with someone. I feel like I can tell whether you're a pothead, a smacky, a heroin head, or a meth or alcohol. There's 4 distinct markers, I think, too. And I think pot long term it has a horrific effect on our mental health for sure too. And that's basically what's been your case. So you just touched on people on medicinal marijuana. What do you think about that? What's your
I relapsed on medicinal marijuana.
Yeah, right.
I was dating a guy that, had a long-term illness, and he was using medicinal marijuana, and obviously I just felt a bit peer pressured to try it, and that's how I relapsed.
Well, Shannon,
because you just want more.
I always get asked this question, so maybe I'd love to hear your. People always say to me, and just for the record, again, I'm not a fucking doctor. I can only ever share my experience with people.
Same,
but
yeah.
people always ask, Danny, well, what about because I say I make a video, some content around alcohol as a drug and whatever. They say, well, what about medicinal marijuana? So what's your thoughts on that. For you, you're in recovery. You talked about being 367 days without a drink or a drug, and you are prescribed, or you used to be prescribed medicinal marijuana. So what's your take on that?
Well, no, I wasn't prescribed it. I was like hanging out with someone that was prescribed it. But yeah, my take on it is it's just as addictive as it is off the street. You know,
Yeah,
you need it. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, people need it.
yeah.
But they need it in a way that I don't know. I don't want to say anything like bad about it because it's probably helping a lot of cancer patients and stuff like that. But it's a drug, and to me, it's a drug. If you're on medicinal marijuana, you're not in recovery. And I actually had not really an argument, but I had to say something to this girl I'd met through another friend, and because she's not using her drug of choice, which is cocaine, but she's having marijuana. She thinks she's in recovery, but to me, that's not recovery. That's still a drug. And I don't know. I have this big thing about it because it might be helping you, but it's killing you too.
Oh, I think I'm so glad you shared that. You sound pretty passionate, and I wanted to say, like, do you know what? Like, that's the total abstinence model really coming through in you too. Like, I'm so open these days, just by the way, for anyone. But I used to think that too, Shannon. And I love that you think that because at the moment you need to really hold on. And mate, it is what it is,
Yeah.
These days, my belief is recovery equals, like basically your level of happiness. If you look back at me in active addiction, I was a fucking mess. And I don't know, like, how can I say, medicinal marijuana is given out to people for pain these days, and pain management too. I don't understand how that works. I mean, I was never in pain from it, but yeah, it's interesting. I mean, all right.
I started out like on the oils, this person was taking the oils and I thought, I'd try them, and I had the one without the THC in it and it did nothing. And then I had the one with the THC and I was stoned, but I don't like the body stoned effect anyway. So, but yeah, it's drugs. Like, and I have to be passionate about it. I'm passionate about that medicinal marijuana is a drug. Like, it gives the same effects as it does off the street. You know what I mean? So, and my dad, he's got a workplace injury. He can't. He used to drive machines his whole life. He ended up with spinal stenosis, lost all the muscle in his left arm. He can't do a lot of things that he used to do. And they offered him pain meds, and he didn't like how they made him feel, so he stopped. And then they talked about medicinal marijuana. And my dad's so anti-drug, and he wouldn't even give it a go. So he's seen what marijuana's done to me. So it's the same thing. It's just grown.
Yeah. Oh, look, I personally, I could never touch it. I hope to God I never touch it for fucking any reason ever. But it scares the shit out of me. Any single drug, like taking codeine for a toothache, which I haven't had for a long time, because I've got no teeth left from active addiction. But anyway, yeah, like codeine, any kind of drug, scares the absolute shit out of me. And I've got to say, like, I hope to God I always stay that way. But it's something that the 12-step fellowship kind of really nailed into my head, And these days, I'm so connected with so many people doing other forms of recovery, including people on medicinal marijuana and what have you. And I just like to always see people's opinions. And I think what's working for you, Shannon, don't stop. Like keep doing it. That's for sure.
It's like being on. There's people on maintenance. I don't really know too much about maintenance, but there's a few people that come into meetings on maintenance, and I find it really triggering. Like, and I don't know too much about it. I only know what I've been told and that, but yeah, I can't really say much on that. But I find maintenance really triggering, and I find people being on medicinal marijuana really triggering. So, that's my stuff, though.
It is your stuff.
I know it's my stuff. I've learned a lot, and but. Yeah, I've got a lot to learn. Like, I'm still in early recovery. I'm still learning, I wasn't brought up to have healthy relationships. I don't know, I have a beautiful partner. Like, and I'm still every day I'm learning how to have a healthy relationship, and I fuck up sometimes, and but he stays by me, and believes that I can, I can grow and I can really do the work on myself to get through this. Like, and I need to, for myself and for my daughter and for, all the important relationships in my life. And yeah, I've learned a lot. It's insane how much you learn when your brain is clear.
I love the saying, you've come a long way and you've got a long way to go, Shannon. Oh,
I
me
have a
anyway.
long way
I've
to
come a
go.
long way and I've got a long way to go,
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah,
There's a
it's
lot
good
of
to be
people
aware.
that look up to me in early recovery, because I'm so honest and like I still try to be myself, but I do struggle with a lot of stuff. Like, I struggled with eating disorders growing up, and I struggled with, the way I looked and stuff like that. And addiction runs in my family, and my nan was an addict, the one who passed away that we've been talking about. She was addicted to weight loss medication, which I guess was like legal speed, Duromine. She went to court back in England for changing the script. It said 50 on it. She changed it to 500. So
Yeah, Dad. Yeah, Dad. You can't change it. Maybe 50 to 100. You can't go from 50 to 500.
yeah, so she's obviously got busted. I don't know too much on that story, but yeah, I know that's the story.
Cool. All right, so good, Shannon. Well, massive congratulations. You've done so well. You have come a long way, and I can see you are on track. And it's so good to hear you so passionate about your recovery because, I mean, what, Shannon, I ask this question always, right? On a scale of 0 to 10, 0 equals you are sad, miserable, unhappy, life is fucked, right? And 10
Yeah.
equals you're chuffed and full of gratitude. What would your number be overall in life today on that scale, 0 to 10?
I still feel like it's about an 8, but I'm grateful for everything, that everything that I've learned, everyone that I've met, the relationships I have in my life today. And I don't know, I could be a 10, but I know that I've got a long way to go still, So,
yeah, so an 8, that's good.
well, an
10,
8, yeah.
you've got to have room for improvement. There's always got to be room for improvement, I reckon. 8's a good number.
Yeah, I'll stick with an 8, because I still struggle with my mental health. I've still got a lot of programs to do, and I'm like, my biggest one for me at the moment is I need to get off social media. That's a really big one for me. And I need to focus more on myself, my daughter, my relationship. I'm saying this on here because this was my goal to get to 1 year. And then after 1 year, I was getting off social media.
Wow, shit. All right.
So if anyone wants to find me, you can catch me on WhatsApp. But, I have to let it go today.
All right. Interesting. Well, how's that going for you for the last 3 days, 2 days?
Well, a lot of people have been, messaging me, congratulating me for getting to a year and stuff like that. And I just feel like, it's time for me to really put in the effort. I really need to get into my step work from being in the 12-step program. And I just want to know what life's like without all the external shit, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I know it works for some people, but because of who I am and the trauma I've struggled with, it's a big thing for me, I really need to focus on the internal at the moment, not the external.
Yeah, that's cool. It's like you have a dream, right? You're in recovery, you've done all this positive change, and now you've got like this dream, like you see, like I'm just relating what I was like that you see where you want to go, and you never know where it's going to go. But your plans at the moment is to drop the social media, get really in touch with yourself, learn to live life to the fullest. I love it, right? That's good.
Yeah.
Good luck.
And
Good
it
luck
wasn't, I had like this, someone sent me a message this morning and I was just like, it's time for me to, it's just time. It's time. I really need to, I got a tattoo the other day, 555, and that means to embrace change. And it's time for me to embrace the change,
Does it mean, what else does it mean? Was it, is that what you said, embrace change? Is that what, you know what I heard it means? Funny enough, I was talking about your tattoo. In Thai, it means ha ha ha. It means that. Yeah, it does. Yeah, in Thai.
My life's a joke, but I'm embracing change.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's also like a happiness numbers or something like that. I like
Angel
it.
numbers, yeah.
Angel
It just
numbers.
means that like good things are going to happen soon, you know, and I have to embrace it and I have to stop living in fear because I live in a lot of fear,
Yeah.
you know, and I have to choose love over fear. That's my thing. So, um, yeah, it's time for me to move forward and stop living in my past and what's the word? Like bringing in the stuff that I've learned into my life right now instead of looking back. So, yeah.
So what's the plans for the future? What's your hopes around employment, or what are you doing in that space? Where do you hope? What are you going to be when you grow up, Shannon?
I think I went through a part of where I wanted to, you know, get into community service work, but I'd love to be a voice for single mothers, you know, struggling with addiction. And I don't know, like I've just been thinking about that a lot lately. You know, there's a lot of single moms, a lot of women who have lost their kids. I'm grateful that I've never lost my kids to the system or anything like that. But yeah, I'd love to be a voice for them. And, you know, I'm just going to keep working on myself and getting all the knowledge that I need. And, you know, one day maybe something like that will happen. I can be a voice for someone else, you know, because if it wasn't for Narcotics Anonymous, I would not have found my voice. And yeah.
I love the saying, if you made a list of all the things you'd want in 5 years' time, you'd be selling yourself short. When I heard that, and it's hard. Like when you're in that first 5 years, I thought the things I'd hoped I have when I turned 5, it was completely different. It just reminded me of that. Shannon, what do you have any words of wisdom? We're wrapping it up. We're going to take some questions in just a moment if anyone has, and I'll go through some of the comments. But do you have any, like, is there anything you'd like to share? Like I say, words of wisdom that you'd like to share with the viewers?
If you're still inactive, you know, and you think about getting clean, you've got to do it for yourself. Don't do it for anyone else. Like, is this a word of wisdom? I don't know, but
absolutely,
you can't do it for someone else. You can't do it for your mum, your dad, anyone. Like, it's got to be for you. And, you know, if you've got kids and you've lost them to the system, prove to the system that you're worth it and you're worth having your kids back in your life, because, you know, I know a lot of women who don't have their kids in their lives, and it's heartbreaking. But there's a lot of the girls I know, they're doing the work. You know, I still know people who are you know, stuck in trauma bonds with their partners who they had kids with, and it's sad, you know, and I really feel for you that you can't get away from it. But, you know, you've really got to put yourself first. You've got to put yourself first, and there's help out there, you know. And I don't know, I find it really sad, you know. Yeah, I don't know. I believe in you because, you know, I believed that I could do it, and here I am at 1 year clean. And yeah, I'd love to see someone else go have similar experiences and a similar journey, you know. Yeah, I think that's all I can give really. But yeah, I don't know. It's just, yeah, I find it heartbreaking, but, you know, if you really want it, you'll do it, you know.
Cool. So good. I reckon there is lots of help out there too. So often, I love that you said that, because so often people, I don't want to take this wrong, but people complaining that there's no help out there. And I think all that usually means is that they don't know about the help available, because my experience,
I didn't know about the help. You know, I did a day program, and I found out about all these services that can help me, you know. I've been doing parenting programs. I'm doing a positive relationships course for free. Like, I didn't know these things existed. You know, there's people that can help you get petrol and food and stuff like that. And even though, you know, I come from a good home and, you know, my parents support me a lot, sometimes I still want, you know, to find the help for myself.
absolutely.
So
And look, we're very lucky in Australia, absolutely. But I'll just shout out, you know, you mentioned 12-step fellowship quite a few times, and that's free. It's available all over the world as well. And my life changed because of that place too, Shannon. Shannon, thank you so much for being so brave to share all your journey.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, if anyone does have any comments or questions, start dropping them again now. I'm going to try and go through all the comments in just a second. But before we do that, I'd love to just give a big shout out once again to Koahani for sponsoring a season 2 of Kick the Ship podcast. Koahani are helping you help yourself. So they provide NDIS support and coordination. Much love again, Koahani. All right, let's go, Shannon. There's been heaps of comments. There's been like hundreds of comments. I'm never going to get through all the comments. You can go through on your Facebook feed and have a look and take a look. But first of all, I see. I don't know who of these people might be. Friends of yours, Shannon. Are you frozen there? Yeah. Casey. Congratulations from Cassie. Mark
Thanks,
Wood.
Kathy.
Did you get this one too? Did you see that one?
Oh, yeah. I don't know that person, but thanks so much.
Wasn't sure, yeah. Naomi, amazing. Shannon.
Yeah, she's been really a big support of mine, Naomi. So thanks, Naomi. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, good on you, Naomi. We've also got Michael. Yeah, Michael.
Hey,
Michael was on the podcast last week with half his family, all killing it too. Chantel. Hey, Shannon, I'm so proud of you. Beautiful.
Thanks, Chantel.
Gail Wallace. Yeah, the Gail. Hello. Thank you. Samantha saying, congratulations, Samantha. Congratulations to you too. Aaron, wishing you congratulations. Congratulations. We've got viewers from all over the world too, by the way, Shannon. So there's a whole bunch of congratulations email messages here. Hey, brother, thank you. So if you've got any questions, I'll get to them in just a moment. Phyllis is celebrating 365 on the 19th of September. My clean date is the 15th of September. Phyllis, congratulations to you. Yeah, it's just heaps and heaps of comments of congratulations here. Hello from Memphis. Thanks for sharing. I listened and I listen. I also understand more about my son's past addiction. Forever. Yeah, that's a great thing that we can help educate people around the social and emotional impacts that addiction can have. Thank you. All right, let me have a look if there's any new comments down here. Greetings from all over the world, Daniel. Big inspiration to the East Coast, showing their way out of addiction from Daniel.
Thanks, Daniel. Love seeing you in recovery. Proud of you.
You know Daniel, dear.
Yeah.
I won't be relapsing again. I know I'll get Ava back. I'll never give up. Thank you, Catherine. Thank you for your message. I imagine.
Love you, Catherine. I'm so proud of you. Keep doing what you're doing.
Yes. Charles, I've seen Charlie commenting lots. Done lots of groups. Didn't help me. Yes. Alison. Please join me and embrace positive inspiration comes back. I've seen another Alison comment here. Let me have a look. Alison says, congratulations on your milestone. Excuse me for 1 second. I want to find one more comment.
Dad's just commented.
Can you see the comments coming through now, can you?
Yeah, my dad. Well done, Shannon. Love you, Dad. Love you too, Dad.
Yeah. Hey, Stephen. Good on you, mate. Thank you so much. All right, awesome. Guys, everyone, I should also, just give a shout out. We recently hit 100,000 followers on the Sober Squad page last night, which is an incredible effort. I appreciate all the encouragement and support. Again, Shannon, thank you so much. If you like, Shannon, you can go through the live broadcast on Facebook and respond to and have a look at some of the comments, because I've missed lots and lots of comments. And Lee, I totally relate. I've seen your comments too. Lee, welcome and thank you. All right, Shannon, have a great day. And thank you so much for sharing. Okay, Shannon, stay in the studio. I'm going to end the broadcast. Bye, guys. Thank you.